My name is Kiki, and this is KiKi Speaks, a brand new podcast where I speak about a variety of topics from relationships to what's hot or not. And on my first episode today, I am going to speak on a topic that goes around a lot, from shacking up and living separately. Whether or not you should shack up or whether or not you should live separately when you're in a relationship. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So shacking up in the Black community is a big thing with us, especially if you grew up in a family that was built around shacking up, whether or not it was your mom, dad, grandpa, cousins, whoever, best friends, whatever. And when it comes down to shacking up, basically it's you and a boyfriend or a friend, a guy friend, male friend, female friend, whomever, and you guys decide that, you know what, we're gonna go and we're gonna move in together into an apartment, a house, or a condo, whatever. So when you decide to take that leap, it is a very bold leap. I'm gonna just go ahead and say that, because you're not just saying, okay, well, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna live with a best friend. No, you saying you're gonna go and live with somebody that you see every day, you lay down with every day, you wake up to every day, kissing, hugging, loving, whatever the outcome may be for your particular situation. So when you're shacking up in a relationship, the pros to it is that yes, you get to see that person every day. You wake up to that person every day. Maybe it's breakfast in bed. You guys get to leave at the same time, come back at the same time, whatever it may be. You get to see that person most of the time of your day. And that's a plus, one of the plus to it, especially if you really care about that person and you really enjoy spending your time with that person. But a downside to that is the fact that you have to see this person every day. It can become very annoying. And that's where the living separately part comes into play. Because if you're living together with this person every day and you guys may get into like a little spat or disagreement or something like that, and say for instance you only have one bedroom in the house or an apartment, you have that one bedroom. So where are you gonna go if you get into an argument or a disagreement? Most people, they say, oh, well, you shouldn't leave if you get into an argument or disagreement anyway. You should stay and talk it out. Yeah, that's what you want to do, but is it realistic though? In most relationships, when you're dealing with two people who have different views, you're going to want to separate at some point and then come back together to try and figure this thing out if you can't figure it out the first time around. So what most people tend to do is they go in the opposite room or something of the sort. But if you live in separately and the argument or disagreement or spat or whatever comes into play, that person that doesn't live at that residence has the choice to decide, I may need further space. So I'm going to go to my address in my home, in my comfort zone, calm and relax myself. And then once I get where I need to be and you're where you need to be, then we can come back, talk about it, and see where maybe we both went wrong. Because you don't know what your environment will be like on that day or that time frame where you're going into that argument, disagreement, spat, or whatever. And it can lead to things that you don't want it to lead to. Like a bigger argument, that it may be something so simple, but you guys both blow it up out of proportion for no apparent reason. So that's one thing that I say when it comes down to living separately is better than actually shacking up. Another thing I would say is, people say, okay, when you guys are living together, you get to know how this person is when it comes down to their house and housekeeping, and you get to know what it is, how they react to certain situations and things. That's not always good. Living separately, if you want to know how somebody is when it comes down to their housekeeping, you can tell that from their house. You don't have to tell that from your house. They can be in their own house, and if you go over to their house, and as soon as you walk through the door, there's clutter everywhere, then you know for a fact that if you guys were to live together, that person is going to add clutter to your house, especially if you don't have clutter in your house. So that whole saying about, oh, you get to see how they are and this and that, just throw it out, take it out, because at the end of the day, you'll be able to see that whether or not they're living with you or whether they living somewhere else. You'll be able to see it. Okay, so I'm not going to give you guys like a very long spiel on my views as far as living together and shacking up, which is better. I'm definitely going to say that living separately, I said living together and shacking up. What the hell was that? Living separately and shacking up. Basically living separately is, in my opinion, better than shacking up, because I've been in relationships where I did the shacking and it's always been the relationship ends with major problems. But in my current relationship, we are actually living separately and things are going so good. Like, we've been together for like 7 months now, and the fact that they are going so good, I feel like is due to the fact that we do live separately. Versus in my other relationships with me shacking up, it was always issues, it was always bumping heads, it was always problems, because we never was able to actually communicate effectively when it came down to us being in the same space all the time. So versus us being in the same space all the time and then us actually being separate from one another, we have that chance to be able to say, okay, I need to work on this, I need to work on that. You get what I'm saying? Versus you being in the same place and it's all you. No, you. When you do those things all the time in a relationship, when you're living together, that destroys your relationship. So when you have that going on, you won't actually last longer when you're living together versus when you're shacking up. Now, if you guys have pointers as far as like what works best for you as far as living together or shacking up, kudos. Like, if it works for you for shacking up, give you the props. But most relationships lately, if they're living together, they're going to end in separation. They're not going to continue to stay together. When they separate and they work on each other or themselves separately in a different household, they may come back together later on down the line and realize, okay, I shouldn't have done these things, or I shouldn't have acted this way, or things would have been different if. But if you start off living separately and working on that relationship, and then you come together the way it's actually really supposed to be, then things will actually be better for you when it comes down to your relationship. That's just my take of it. I'm not going to give you guys a long spiel on this topic, especially with my first episode. But that's just one of the things that I wanted to speak to you guys about. If you have any ideas of anything else that you guys want me to talk about or come up with, just let me know, because I have so many other things that I want to discuss with you guys on this podcast. So thank you guys so much for watching KiKi Speaks, and I will look forward to speaking to you guys the next time. Bye and Happy New Year's.